Today, we're looking at Noodler's Forest Green. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Noodler's Forest Green, as you would expect, is a green ink. And to make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put that ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Delight Alpha with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. But before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down, immediately dunk it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And what we see is this really nice turquoise across the bottom that comes up into a lighter and then much darker green. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And the only difference that I see is that turquoise along the bottom makes a thick, dark turquoise line, which makes me feel that the turquoise part might hang out just a little bit on the resistance tests. And speaking of resistance, the resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pens. I let my smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it seems to handle that perfectly fine. There's only one spot at the top of the little h that it looks like it started to move. It makes me feel confident to use this ink in a note-taking situation if I had to highlight. Water, given 30 seconds, completely picks up and moves most of that ink except some of that kind of turquoisey color that we saw at the bottom of the chromatography where it was allowed to dry. Pen flush completely picks it up, reactivates. We see the white of the paper coming through. This is good news because water didn't look like it was going to do everything necessary. Pen flush, without a doubt, will do everything necessary to get this out of your pen, so you don't need the bleach, but we tested it anyway. Bleach, as would be expected, obliterates it, leaving only behind a little bit of that yellow staining that we commonly see removing some of these inks. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with a realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Noodler's Forest Green has a viscosity of 1.84, making it a wetter ink without a doubt. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rodya Paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Noodler's Forest Green has an average dry time of 17 seconds, making it not just normal, but average. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X 450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X 750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's look at the Clairefontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shade. It's a lovely dark green that's just got something nice about it. It's not a super vibrant, but it's just something nice kind of green. The extra fine is a noticeably lighter tone with no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and great shading throughout. There's certain colors that people really like when they really like shading inks, and to me, the shading is it. The shading is what I'm after, and I'm seeing it here. 10 seconds to dry. Sorry. The medium has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It does offer some shading. Nice shading throughout. Brown starts light, gets darker, gets a noticeably lighter. Fox starts light, gets dark. Over starts really dark, and then gets lighter. Very nice. Lazy changes tone a few times in the same letter. So nice, medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, yes, shading all over, and 16 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us some color variation. You have to look at the far left to far right of both of them, and it's very obvious. We do get that color variation in the writing. We have, on the smear test, I believe you could recover this. Now we go to Tomoe River. Tomoe River gives no bleeding. It does give ghosting. The 1.1, very dark green. With the 1.1, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade.
The extra fine is a noticeably lighter tone. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, and 16 seconds to dry. Now the medium's tone is between the extra fine and the 1.1. It offers no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shade. 26 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. And the smear test, I don't believe you could recover this. So we'll look at Rodya paper. And Rodya gives us no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1, very dark tone. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shading whatsoever with the 1.1. The extra fine, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. On the Rodya paper, no shade. It's that coating, I believe, gets in the way at times. 12 seconds to dry. It is a little bit lighter than 1.1, not a lot lighter, not where it jumps out as lighter. The medium has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and the medium is giving me plenty of color variation. Brown starts lighter and gets darker. Fox starts lighter and gets darker. The cueing quick starts dark, it has a light spot, and then the word gets darker. Over shows a bunch of color variation. So it's very nice with the medium, very boring with the extra fine. I always want to clarify that boring doesn't mean bad. It's a great color. I really like this color, or this tone of green. So when I'm saying boring, I just mean that it's very predictable in exactly the color you're going to get. I don't say boring is a bad thing. 19 seconds to dry with the medium. Scrubby for the extra fine shows us no color variation. We didn't get any. Scrubby for the medium shows us some color variation. Looking at the far left to far right, we did get some color variation. And the smear test says we can likely recover this. So I looked at this on the yellow Rodya, and I got no bleeding and no ghosting, which was expected. But what happens to the tones? Well, the 1.1 is definitely lighter. Same with the extra fine, same with the medium. So it lightened up this green, which is what I was hoping for. Just the way it looked on that on the white Rodya, lightened up was nice. And it gave a fabulous tone. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. The extra fine has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and we do get the shading here. We get very nice shading. Quick shows a lot. Starts very dark, gets light, gets dark again, and gets light and gets dark again. Tons of shading all in one word. Over starts light and gets darker. It's fantastic. With this yellow paper, 12 seconds to dry. The medium, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and yes, we get really nice shading all over. Jumps, starts light and gets dark. Over, starts light and gets dark. Nice. Dog, starts light, gets dark, gets light again. Great, 19 seconds to dry. Now it's hard, oh, you see it better on camera. The scrubby for both the extra fine and the medium show us color variation, and we do get color variation, and the smear test says yes, we can get to recover this. So I looked at this on the G-Lalo paper because I am still looking for colors that look nice on it. I wouldn't want to send somebody letters on this with an ink that I think is good that just performs on there. The G-Lalo gives us no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1, super dark with this gray background, super dark. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. That extra fine, still very, very dark brown, or dark green. Very dark. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. We have no shading here. That's because of the darker paper. It just eats it all up. 8 seconds to dry. Eating up the shade still in a medium nib with no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and no shade. 12 seconds to dry. I don't think this is horrible on here. I'm just not sure about this particular green on here. The scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we didn't get any color variation, but the smear test, you'd probably be able to recover the medium. I don't think you'd be able to recover the extra fine if you smeared while you were writing. So what happens with original Crown Mill? These are two different laid papers. Two different, both high quality, but very different, especially in their tone. We get no bleeding. We get no ghosting. The 1.1 gives no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. Super, super, super dark green. A very noticeably lighter tone with the extra fine. It has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, sorry. 8 seconds to dry. The medium, it has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It took 12 seconds to dry. There's spots that look like they would be feathering. They're not really feathering. It's the ink following the grain of the paper. And I know that sounds like it's a feathering. It's because it's a laid paper. So sometimes when it's looking like it's feathering out, it's actually not feathering. Show up, camera. It's that grain of the paper that's causing what looks like it could be feathering. But this isn't really feathering. Scrubby shows us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. The smear test says you probably aren't going to recover this if you did smear it. And that's all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Noodler's Forest Green, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I've chosen Krishna's Dhaanu Udhak. Dhaanceud. I'm butchering the name. Dhaanu Udhak. It's a very nice kind of yellow-brown ink. It goes down too light to read, but it darkens as a brown with that yellow all over. It's gorgeous. And with this green, absolutely fantastic. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Noodler's Forest Green? It has a look at me, I'm a beautiful green ink quality about it on the paper. It is nice. It is absolutely a pleasure to look at. It does not always give the shading that I would like for it to give. It is very well behaved. The only thing I could ask for is a little bit more shading, but this is a fantastic green ink. Thanks for watching.